Your faces. Thank you. I can't see your faces today, but that's okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Liz, for doing a bang-up job on the welcoming. We kind of forgot about that aspect, so thank you for stepping up. I have Michael here working behind the camera for me, and he's doing our technology today. And I guess if none of you have been here, this is the lab, and I really wanted to be kind of spooky and say welcome to our laboratory. But anyway, thank you all for coming, and I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I do not have any handouts. After this is put up on the website, I will make available my PowerPoint, which is basically my notes. So hopefully as you go through the PowerPoint, you'll be able to remember where your notes took place. And you can always go back and watch the recording later on. I'm not sure how long it'll take to get that up, but I'll let those people work their magic. So today we're going to be talking about book walks. I know I have fielded a lot of questions lately. It's kind of took on a life of its own during our shutdown because we had to do something. So I'm going to start with just a little tiny bit of history, and I'm going to have to read this because I don't have it memorized. Story Walk is a program created in 2007 by Anne Ferguson from Montpelier, Vermont. The name is a registered trademark and may not be used without permission. If they get wind of it, they will contact you. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't contact them if you want to use the Story Walk name, because I've heard it's not that difficult to get those permissions. But if you do use the word Story Walk without the permission, then you face some fines and repercussions. So what do you call it? There's lots of names. We call it, Patty and I talked about it, we're calling it a book walk, adventure trail, story stroll. One I heard last year, which I really thought was cute, was a tale trail. Literacy walk. There's lots of different names that you can call it. You can be creative and come up with one on your own. Patty and I just made the decision to use the words book walk. The basics of a book walk, stories trail, they're all the same. You have a book, it's deconstructed and put back together and arranged along a walking trail or a sidewalk or storefront windows or down a hallway. The possibilities are really up to you and your imagination. So the question is, why do you want to do this? Well, like I said, there's a pandemic going on and we're a library and we have to do something. We have to be involved. We have to do something. That's one reason. Another reason is you get families involved or, lost my train of thought. You get families involved that may not use the library on a day-to-day basis, but if the story walk is in the park while they're there with their kids, they're using the library, or at least they're using a library service. There's community involvement, and partnerships. Sorry. And the other reason is just because it might be outside. That's probably the best reason of all, is to get people active and moving while they're outside and enjoying that. So your location, you need to decide if your location needs to have permission. If you're going to put them in storefront windows, you're definitely going to want to talk to those store owners or just building owners to see if it's okay to put them in the windows. Decide what you're going to use for holders. A lot of our libraries don't have the expensive signs to and a permanent location. So there are a couple of places, or we also have, there are a couple of places that do the permanent signs that I found, and by all means, these are not the only ones. Barking Dog Exhibits is one company that constructs the outside signs. I've heard really good things about their signs. I believe Beloit may have used those, but don't quote me. Also, I found DIY instructions on the website instructables.com for building your own. Political yard signs, you know, the little things on the wire stands, you can also use those, and those aren't permanent. You can bring them in if the weather is going to get bad. You can move them a lot easier, so you can do part of it or all of it in front of the library, or you can take it to a park and then take it down. Some of our librarians have used these at their county fairs, just the wire stakes, and you have the corrugated plastic signs that fit over the wire signs. A great partnership in building your signage is to contact, if you have a local scout troop, if someone's doing an Eagle Scout project, that's a wonderful way to get your signs made, your permanent signs made. Your NHS senior class project, your National Honor Society, the local college or a VOTEC. And someone even said, well, what about the prison? Would the prison be able to make that for us? It's a possibility. All you can do is ask. But there again, that's building a partnership. If you have someone build them for you, more than likely the library is going to have to pay for the material to build them, but someone may actually donate their time or services to build them for you. So all you have to do is ask. Okay, so in building, you will need two copies of the book. Sorry, 2 copies of the book. This one that I'm going to be using today is a paperback. You can also do hardback. The paperback ones are usually cheaper than your hardback ones. Where do I want to start? You also might consider an introduction page when you do this. Design your own introduction page that can be laminated that says, welcome to our store, welcome to our book lot. This is sponsored by your library. Let's see. You're also going to need a way to deconstruct the books. So the easiest tools are your box cutter and a straight edge. I happen to have the luxury of this wonderful thing, which will take a whole book, and I just chop the spine off of it. But I know your libraries probably don't have that, but it does work. Okay, so I'm probably gonna have to stand up here pretty soon. If you're working with a hardback book, the easiest way to do it is to break it open as far as you can, and take your box cutter and cut right down the spine on the front and the back, and that will lift right out of there. Now you're probably going to have some binding that you're going to want to cut off, and that'll be the same as what I'm using with the paperback here. It is just paperback. You need to remove your staples. I have a note here that says, get over your angst. The first time you take a book apart and start deconstructing it, there might be a little of that, oh my gosh, I'm destroying a book. But think of it as building another program for your library. You're not really deconstructing it, or you're not destroying it, you're deconstructing it. Okay, so with the paperback, I take my book and open it to the middle and lay my straight edge right down the fold. Your box cutter. And that's all it takes. A nice sharp blade on your box cutter helps. I've gone through more box cutter blades than I care to think about. But make sure you have a straight edge. I happen to have a cutting mat. When I first started doing this, I went through a lot of cardboard underneath my books because you don't want to cut into your table. There's that. Okay. So this is my way. This probably isn't the only way, but I start by taking the title page and your CIP page, and I take those together, or I lay them down like this, okay? Then when I do it that way, the left side is always flipped over. So you'll see this will allow me to, that's not right. Yes, it is. Okay, so that will allow me to, and it may not look pretty, but that's something you can deal with later, because I like to include, if there is a dedication, that it gets put on the page. Okay, so you're going to turn over your left, get rid of your right. Okay, at some point you're going to do that. It just kind of depends upon where and how you want your book to lay out. Okay, match them up, flip over your left. You're going to do this for the whole book. And I prefer to do this before I do any taping. Oops. Because it may not lay out exactly like it's supposed to. So when I do it, I'm always turning my left page, just like you are reading a book. So when you keep that in mind, it should all together rather quickly, except I turned that page, and I should have turned that page. There we go.
And you're doing it like this, Diane, because you have 2 books so that you get every single page, right?
Every single page. So the book basically stays as original as possible. Okay, guess what? We've reached the end of our book. Now, I still have a couple of pages here. If I look at it and it's like, so this is going to be my last page, and it's a single page. Now, I can leave it as a single page, and just go ahead and laminate it that way, put my number on it and laminate it that way. Or I have an example of one library that did a thank you for reading along our story trail. So they have taken the last page and put it with a sign that says thank you. That's also a place where you can add your other sponsors and different library information also. But so now I come to tape, and I left my tape right over here, of course. Okay, so I've laid it out, it's all there. I know that they fit pretty well together as far as the picture goes, the illustrations. I'm just gonna line it up. I'm gonna take a small piece of tape at the bottom. I don't wrap it around the front. A piece of tape at the top and a piece of tape in the middle. Okay. I'm going to go through and do the whole thing that way. And as I'm doing that, I'm also going to, I'm going to turn it over so it stays in reverse order. I'm going to go through and do the whole thing that way. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Anybody?
You can ask your questions in chat or unmute yourself to ask.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your voices. I know I went through that really fast.
Diane, this is Karen in Osborne.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes when I do it, I go through and take pictures of my entire book real quick to make sure that I get them lined up in order in case
Yes.
something should happen.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. Patty decided she was going to help me one time. And she was going to put together this book. It took me 3 months to figure out what this book was. And it shouldn't have taken me that long, but she had it so messed up. She had pages every which way. And it was so silly because it was the night before Christmas. And it's like, we know that poem. Why can't I get it back together in my head? But the pictures in it are just a little wonky. So when he says, when they fly away, the picture's down here further. So it's like, okay, I understand what Patty was trying to do. She was trying to match the poem up with the pictures. And sometimes that doesn't happen. So, anybody else?
Diane, I also number them, like when you flip that there, you're on the back side, and I put a number on the back of that because I've sent some of mine out before, and that helps someone else who's putting it up other than me.
I just had another suggestion of that from a librarian. Now, I'm not going to go back and retrofit all of our ones that are already done to number the back of them. But if you borrow from us, you are more than welcome to put a sticker on the back side that says, or just go ahead and put a marker and mark the pages in order. It was a very good suggestion. And like I said, that I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of forgot about that. So thank you. So you all have a couple of options when it comes to, okay, let me ask you this. How many of you are thinking about making your own and having them? Either speak up or let Michael know, or
Karen, Colleen.
How many of you have gotten, used your ARPA money for the stands? Anybody? I know a couple of our libraries did or will.
Joanna from Smith Center says that they're planning on doing one for Christmas. Karen
Okay.
says she makes some of her own. Barb from Cortland and Formosa says, I've done it once and plan to do it again this year. Great Ben says they want to.
Right.
And Clyde said they did receive ARPA funds.
Okay. Congratulations, Clyde. Have you ordered your signage yet? Your holders? Barb?
No.
Huh?
No response.
Okay. I do know that,
Oh, she said 20 stands arrived today.
oh, nice.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Okay, can I ask you one more question? What size are your windows or your panels? Well, I shouldn't say panels. I should say, use another word, but I don't know what to call
This
them.
is Barb.
Hey, Barb, thanks.
Yeah. I can't tell you right now because that's at the Clyde Library. I have that information there and I'm at school.
Oh,
I'm at school right now.
Sure.
But yeah, excited. They're aluminum and arrived today.
So where are they permanent signs?
Yes, they're permanent and we're planning on putting them in our city park.
Nice. So you had to partner with the city then too?
Yes, and our city guys will put them up for us. And yeah, and we plan on making or doing our own books if we
Okay.
can.
Okay. Good. Very good.
Yeah, we're
I-
excited.
I love that. And please share some pictures with us. I know
Okay,
Christy does our newsletter. And so, get it featured in there. You guys have been awesome about sharing information and programs with her. So be sure to share that out.
Okay.
You've gone to a lot of work to make that happen. So don't tell me grants aren't work, because they are.
okay, we'll share.
All right. Thank you, Barb.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Colleen wants to know, where did you get them from, Barb?
I wish I was at the library. Gosh, I can share that. Barking Dog Solutions.
Barking Dog. I have heard really, really good things about them. Really
Yes.
good things.
Barking Dogs, yes.
Yes.
Online,
And I will provide that website to you. Not that you can't find it like right this minute by searching. But yeah, I've heard lots of good things about them. So, okay. Well, kind of gets me into the next one. So they're going to be making their own. That's a lot of you are, and I'm not going to begrudge you of that. I'm going to offer you a couple of options to make your job easier, because your time is limited and this has become part of my job. So
We do have one more question in the
Okay.
chat. Barb from Cortland says they plan to zip tie their pages on a chain link fence in the park. How high should they be hung?
eye level, and I would say maybe not adult eye level, and maybe not little kid eye level, but maybe like middle school eye level. So this is my thinking. A parent isn't going to have to hunch down every time. And a kid can actually read it on their own. So does that help you? Okay, good, good. The zip ties through the fence is beautiful. We took the, not foam core, but the corrugated plastic signage at Webster. What do we have there? Oh, Spring Fling. And I actually put the grommets in to the corrugated plastic. It was a little difficult and it was a little messy because it's plastic and it doesn't want to go, you know, perfectly. But beautiful. That way the zip tie didn't dig into the corrugated plastic. And especially if you're using foam core board to mount it on, I would think with that good old Kansas wind that the zip tie would dig into that foam core. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just telling you what we did.
Where'd you get the grommets from?
We bought those through Hobby Lobby, but any place you can buy sewing material, sewing notions, you can find them.
Joanna has a comment. She
Okay.
says a hot ice pick will melt a hole in the plastic.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's a little unconventional, but also if you have a soldering iron.
I like that. My luck though, it would catch on fire.
Yeah,
That's
Mine
me. That's me. I have to use tools for the purpose they were made for. But I do like the ice pit, the hot ice pit. Because you can kind of control how hot you get that. So, okay, so your options through us are, if you're not ready to tackle this, if you're not comfortable with tackling this, you can send your first book to us, 2 books, and we will, I will build it for you. That's complete cutting, numbering, laminated. I will build it for you. It'll come back to you laminated, but not finished. By that, I mean, it's going to have excess lamination on it. So the finishing cutting will have to be up to you. That's one option. The other option would be that your library purchases 2 copies of a book. We can make it into a book walk. The book walk would then become our property, but you would be the first, your library would be the first one to use it. This is just a way of cutting down the space for storage. And that is, you don't have to do it that way. But know that it would become the property of youth services and that other libraries were going to be using it. But the first time it goes out, it would be yours on the list. Your name would be on the list. So, and then you also need to think about how many times you're going to reuse a story walk. Are you going to show the same story walk every month, every 2 or 3 months? Are you just going to use it once a year? I mean, it's entirely up to you. Okay. A Kansas rain, a good old Kansas windstorm can destroy a book walk on the first time it goes out. We've had it happen. We're not gonna.
Hello.
Excuse me? Uh-huh.
Yes.
We're not, if you borrow one from us, we're not gonna hold you responsible. I just had to pitch one that Patty and I were so happy to finally get together, and it went out one time, and that was when we had, I don't know, there were like 3-inch rains in CKLS land, and you don't have any control over that. And we don't expect you to get up in the middle of the night and go take down the story walk because, oh my gosh, we have, this is borrowed, we can't let anything happen to it. Patty's pretty good about the cost of doing business with our youth services items. We understand that. So know that if you're going to hang on to all of your book walks and you're going to put them in your collection, that there is a possibility that it may be a one and done. It's just a possibility. Excuse me.
We do have another question.
Mhm.
We have a couple. CKLS book walks are mounted on backing paper. Do we need to mount them before sending them to you for laminating? And that's from Joanna at Smith Center.
Okay, I'm going to address that whole issue of mounting our book walks. Patty and I were both learning this, and you know our Patty, she wants a pretty background. Our laminator did not do a real good job of sealing them real well. So a majority of ours that are laminated onto pretty paper are not lasting. They're lasting maybe a couple of times, just because we didn't get a real good seal on them. Now, the good news is we are shopping for a new laminator, and we are shopping for one that will do up to 1/4 inch thick. So we shall see. All of our book walks now are going to be, wait 1 more second here. Can get one out before. All of our book walks now are going to be just the pages. And we are leaving at least, at the very minimum, a 1/2 inch of lamination around it. Those seem to be holding up the best. So if you want it mounted on pretty back paper, that's a risk you're going to have to take. And hopefully when we get the new laminator, we can do some more experimenting with that type of thing. But yes, if you want it on pretty paper, we'll put it on, or you can put it on pretty paper. That step, I believe, you would have to do on your own. That answer your question, Joanna? Sorry, I kind of took a.
Yes, it did. I just wondered if we do decide to mount it on paper, what do we need to use to mount the book to the paper?
Double stick tape.
Okay.
Yeah, and I tell you what, with double stick tape, make sure you're where you want it when you stick it down, because there isn't really a good way to pick it up and move it. But that's what we've used on all of ours that we mounted.
We have one more question
Okay.
from Barb George. Is it recommended to have a 3rd copy of the book to have available for checkout?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful idea. That's a beautiful idea, because a kid may read it, or if there's if it's an author that has written several different books, feature those inside your library, or that could be your end page that says this author has also written, and have a list of the books there. That's a beautiful idea. Absolutely. Any other questions at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay, good questions, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. I was looking here. I thought I had a note. I do have a note. I'm going to go back to photocopying. Patty explained this to me before she left, and I did not write myself a real good note, but under library fair use, you can't laminate the whole book, but if you have a page of the book that just has a background on it and you want to use that for like the end page, or you can do that. You can laminate. I've taken the inside, a lot of hardback books, this page will have pictures on it, and I've taken and photocopied that picture to use as a filler for like my end page, where on this book it only has the one page for the end. I've done that, and it is for educational purposes. So you are allowed to do that. You cannot photocopy the whole book without permission. You absolutely cannot do that. So there are several different options. Patty likes having different options in between pages. If you have room to do that, skip to the next page, do a cartwheel or whatever, some type of activity between pages, every 3 pages, in the middle of the book, some type of activity. And there again, there's where you have to think about, if you're going with permanent signs, permanent holders, the average book, when it's put together, taken apart and put together, is 17 pages, 18 pages. That leaves you no room if you only order 18 holders. That doesn't give you a lot of room to work with. The librarians that I have actually talked to about the sign, the holders, is I have been telling them to order 20 to 24 because some books are longer. So it's okay to have a blank one there, but my gosh, what a way to promote, something else that's happening in town. Or like I said, the activities between pages. We were in Plainville and they do theirs along the sidewalk, and they actually painted on the sidewalk. There were steps between each page that you had to, different ways to walk between the pages, which was really cool. So
Diane,
uh-huh.
this is Joanna. We used the library windows and across the front of the Schrader Center and down the west side of the city office. And there were windows, we were putting them on the inside because of the weather.
Right.
There were windows we had to skip because we didn't want them to walk through a flower bed, or we couldn't get to the window from the inside of the building. And so we made little directional signs that would say, down to the corner and turn to your left, and then now past the bushes and around the corner. And so it kind of filled in some of the windows we couldn't really put a page in. And that way they didn't think they were done with the book before they were done.
Because the little kid's going, Mom, what happened to the elephant?
And then at the very end, the one we did was the Prairie Chicken Little book.
Yes.
And so at the very end, we made a sign that said, now take a selfie of you doing your best prairie chicken dance and email it to the library, and we'll post them in the library. And so we did get a few kids that did that.
Awesome. And I think that's the one slide that I may have neglected to put in here was it's a program. It is a program. It is a patron-directed program, but it is a program that you are offering, or an activity that you are offering your patrons. So if you're going to count that, how do you do that? I've heard of librarians putting in a QR code. I've heard of librarians putting in the thing that says, go to our Facebook page and, like you said, take a selfie. Fill out a survey. You can have your QR code linked to monkey survey, Survey Monkey. Sorry, Patty and I always call it a monkey survey. Now I lost my train of thought. Put a stick in the paper sack at the end of the walk, or there's a lot of different ways. Come to the library and get a bookmark. Come to the library and get a sucker. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can actually count and keep track of who's using your book walks. So, okay, how are we doing?
2:12.
Wow. Did I talk that fast? Sorry. A while back, I believe Gail shared a email from Southwest Kansas Library System. And they do have, she was advertising fall story walks that you can interlibrary loan. So go into share it and check that out. And they're actually using the story walk name. So I'm assuming they have their, she says if you search for SWKLS Story Walk, and Story Walk is all one word with a capital S and a capital W, collection. And that should bring up what that'll show you the entire collection. So I have not gone in and looked at that. All this time I've had this piece of paper stuck in my folder and I haven't had a chance to look at it, but that's another resource. Because like I said, they do take up room. We have 41, 42, what did I tell you, Michael? I don't remember now.
40 something.
But we have an old map stand that's probably about this tall. And it's almost full. We're gonna have to find another way to store them. When CKLS does your laminating for you, it's gonna come to you on the courier. Your pages will be cut apart, but they will not be trimmed. So it's going to come to you in cardboard something. This is actually the book cover package, but sometimes I have to make my own mailer. So if you have to cut into one of those, just be careful that you don't cut into your book walk. Okay. Anything else at all? I could go around and stand by Michael. I could actually see your faces. Well, if not, that's pretty much it.
Diane,
Mhm.
it's Joanna again. If we've made a book walk and we want to make it available for other people, who makes a mark record for that?
Okay, I have kind of a really, really bare bones record in the youth services. You're welcome to copy that. And I mean, Liz is a whiz. I'm sure she would figure out a better way than what we have. But ours are all attached to one record. We didn't get into a lot of detail. But okay, where did I go? Do not attach your holdings to our record because that record is suppressed. So not everybody can find it. You librarians can find it, but you know, someone else can't. The 4-H leader can't find it. I hope that helps. Liz, would you be do a little research on that for us?
Yeah, I
Awesome.
can totally take a look at that and make it pretty and make a template for people to copy off of.
Awesome. I was going to say we could even probably look at Southwest Kansas and see what they have, how theirs are set up anyway. I think that would be a really good idea. Yeah, you guys share. I mean, I think that's an awesome idea. If you would, if you want to, like I said, I would not want a library to charge another library if something did happen to it, because so many things with book walks are out of your control, because it is outside, it is nature, and I would not expect any librarian to take down a book walk every time they thought something was going to happen and then put it back up when the all clear was sounded. So I would hope that it would be freely shared if you decide to go that way. Anything else? I hope you guys have learned something. Like I said, we'll make this available on our ckls.org page, or whatever our new website is. I will put up my minuscule PowerPoint. I will also share out see if I can find that original email that Gail had sent out from Southwest Kansas, and try to get that out to you this afternoon. Okay, if you guys aren't going to ask any questions, I'm going around on the Michael's side, and so I can see y'all. He can shut this one off and turn the camera on. Look, everybody. There they are. Let's see. Okay, hey everybody, thank you guys. Are you on? Oh no, not yet.
There we go.
Okay, I was trying to talk to you and Michael's like, not yet. Okay, did you guys learn something? Good, good. I missed what? Oop, somebody had something. I
Use
missed
of
it.
terms, story walk.
Oh, yes. Let me go get my paper for sure. I want to use the right words. So the term story walk is trademarked, and you need to get permission from them. They have a website. If you use the term story walk and they catch wind of it, they will call you out on it. I don't know what kind of fines or whatever, but yeah.
Book walk is okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Book walk, adventure trail. I don't know, there's 20 bazillion other ones. Picture book walk. I like story stroll. Yeah. And if you, I'm sure you could probably think of something else too. Patty likes the adventure walk. So. Okay. I hope y'all learned learned anything. I hope y'all learned anything. Something. Call me, send me an email, drop me a line if there's something you have questions on. And make an appointment to come down and see us and use the lab. It's a lot of fun, huh, Colleen? Okay, who said what? Oh, she looked. Oh man, that sucks. Joyce, good to see you. Thanks for coming.